Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Let's Talk Lego. In this episode, the trio talk about Lego trains and what Lego could do to add more to their roster. I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello, everybody. This is Billings Custom Bricks,
Minifigure Central,
and Brick Lucas.
and this is Let's Talk Lego. So today we've got a, I would say, important topic to discuss. Mostly because some fans feel like it's misused and underused. And that is the Lego train, just in general.
I feel like Lego trains haven't been doing the best lately, and they need to step up.
I will say I do think they're coming out with more trains than they have in recent years. It's been a slight revival, but
I wouldn't say more trains. Usually they do about 2 trains, a passenger train and then a freight train or a cargo train. And then they have like special things like the Hogwarts Express and the UCS one that they came out with.
So what do we got right now in terms of trains with Lego?
so right now on the shelves we have the Express passenger train, a high-speed train Polybag, a freight train, the Hogwarts Express, a train station, the UCS Hogwarts Express, and a cargo train.
That's an older one, I'm pretty sure. That one?
Never mind, cargo train is retired.
That's the one I used to have, the blue one.
Yep.
Oh, you.
No, I've been on a bit of a locomotive high recently. I've been going back to an old show of mine that I liked as a kid, Thomas. I don't know if you guys know about Thomas the Tank Engine.
Of course I know about Thomas the Tank Engine.
I got back into that one, and then I got back into, Lego trains. And I feel like they're totally underused. Lego City gets all these electric trains and like passenger trains. I don't know how many passenger trains there's been in the past few years, like 5?
It's every single time they release a train. It's a passenger train, a cargo train, passenger train, cargo train, passenger train, cargo train. And I feel like they need to stop. They need to go back to what they used to do in 2002, I believe it was, with the My Own Train series. That was the peak Lego trains. You could buy separately a coach for your passengers, cargo, cars, and then most importantly, you could buy trains and you could make them in 2 different ways, in a tank engine form or one with a tender, and you could change colors. They could be whatever color you want them to be, and it was just 10 times better than what they have nowadays.
Too bad they're all super expensive right now. And I mean, it stands to reason. It's happened way back, what was it, 19?
That My Own Train series, I think, is 2002.
Oh, 2002. So fairly, 11 years ago. So if you want to think of that as long,
21 years
oh,
ago.
never mind 21 years ago. Never mind, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, looking out the My Own Train, it looks pretty ancient. This looks to be a very old Lego. Definitely not easy to find in box, and if you do find it out of box, it's gonna be very dusty and old.
I think it's worth it, though. Me personally, I think it's worth it. But I don't think I'd go out and buy them myself.
I mean, I feel like you could just make your own trains nowadays with the modern parts. But with, like, the ones that they're releasing nowadays, I'd much rather get the My Own Train series than, like, the recent trains I just haven't really liked.
They haven't done, like, the standard freight train in a long time. Like, the standard diesel engine train in a long time.
Yeah, it's just, like, these new modern electric things, and they don't really look that good. They're not appealing to me. I don't think a lot of other people. I also feel like the trains that they're making don't really fit with, like, a lot of people, because a lot of people recognize different types of diesels that are more common to find on railroads, especially, like, the ones in America, you know.
Where we are, I've never seen those trains before. I've only seen what the BNSF, like,
Well, I'm not asking them to
FedEx.
do, like, themes with, like,
maybe not branded, but those
Yeah,
type
branded.
of, like, those style engines, like Amtrak, that style, like, I've only seen.
Like, if they did that as a passenger train, I feel like that would look a lot cooler. Because obviously it's not, they've been doing those high-speed trains on it.
No, my understanding is you essentially want them to be, you know how they made that one car they could, like, have in the light blue or the yellow?
Yeah.
You kind of want them to do that with trains. I think it's pretty infeasible of Lego to do My Own Train again. Looking at it, they had 8 different sets for one train, and it'd just be slight color variations. I don't think Lego's really in the market of doing that again.
I mean, I'm not asking them to do different color variations. I just want them to do separate sets. And sets that I feel like would be a bit more appealing.
Like that one you just pulled up.
Separate sets with different colors?
No, just like, have your train as a separate set and then have the separate cars. So you could buy the separate cars and make your train however long you want.
Like they did at one point. I don't know if it was for the My Train thing, but they did a Santa Fe, and Santa Fe is only one color, and I really wish I had that, honestly.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool when you look back.
I mean, like you said with the BNSF one, there was also that one a long time ago, and that was just so cool. I guess it would be really, really cool to have branded trains, because then you could be like, oh, look, I've got this train that, drives around a lot.
I think it really comes down to they would just rather not pay that licensing fee and just make their own.
I mean, I do really like that Lego's own theme, because it all matches, because it all has that one same logo.
Even then, you don't have to market it as a branded train. You could just get the model and then turn it to Lego and then just put like Octane on it or something.
So looking at this freight train that came out this year,
yeah.
Do you like the addition of how it has like the car storage on one of the wagons?
I think that's a pretty interesting car. I don't think they've done one of those. I mean, maybe they have. But
I don't recall seeing one, so I thought that was kind of something new.
I think there was one like with the old train sets before my own train, like back when it was like 9-volt was like the newest thing.
And how do you feel on the new controller piece?
I mean, I like it, but you can't use it to network multiple trains like you could with power functions, because you could have 2 trains on one controller, then you could switch the line, 2 more trains, then switch the line, 2 more trains, then switch the line, then there's 2 more trains. But with that one, it's just for 1 train, or maybe 2. I don't know.
It looks like 2 because there's 2 separate controller pieces, like 2 dials.
And then there's the app for Power It Up, which, I mean, it's not really that great, because as soon as your phone turns off, the train stops. So you have to have your phone so it stays on the entire time, so it doesn't turn off. And, I mean, you don't really want to have to pull up the app every time you want to drive your train around. You want to get a controller. And, But my preferred system is 9-volt. So.
That's the one with the controller you have, right?
No, I have power function. I'm talking about 9-volt.
Oh, like the metal rail.
Yeah, metal rail.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's so small, it's just the one bogie, and then you don't have to have a big battery box. They definitely optimized Power It Up when they made it into they optimized power functions when they made it into Power Up, because they changed it to Bluetooth, so they didn't have to have the receiver. But it's still a big battery box that takes 6 batteries, and so it's not like you can't fit it in. If you're trying to make a steam engine, you're gonna have to make a big tender, because you can't just fit it in a small one.
Or I've seen people put them in like trucks, like different trucks, like boxcars.
That is a way of doing it, but I personally don't really like that, because
you can't drive the engine yourself.
Yeah, you can't like shunt cars around or like move them yourself. You have to, just drive the entire train together, and it's not really as creative and fun.
Do you think it would be better if they went back to having the battery box and then the receiver?
No.
Because wouldn't combining the two make the battery box bigger?
They didn't combine them, because since they made it Bluetooth, they didn't need a receiver anymore. And so now you can just control it from wherever in your house. Well, not in your house, but like wherever in the room, and it will immediately drive. So
maybe make a Bluetooth controller instead.
You do.
I think I'm getting mixed up. I think I'm getting a bunch of them mixed up.
There's 12-volt, which was it was actually just like 12-volt was basically your normal model trains.
Right, with the metal rails.
With switches or crossings and
right.
lights and stuff like that. And then there was 9-volt, which is the preferred thing from everyone, where it's metal tracks. You have a little controller that can change the speed, and you've got just one small bogie that powers it all. And then you've got like earlier receivers or power function, where it was like you had a controller and there was a big base for your train that had little receivers on the side, and you would control that and it would go around. And then there was power functions, where it was a battery box, a AR receiver, and a controller and a bogie that you would all hook up together and put in a train and drive around. Then there was Power It Up, the newest one, probably the second best one in my opinion, where it's a battery box and a Bluetooth controller and a bogie. So then you put that in your train and you drive it around and you're good.
Okay.
So that's all of them.
Okay. Got that.
All right, so real briefly, thank you, Lucas, for going through overall the train iterations. I want to ask you two, as train fans, do you want Lego Trains to stay part of Lego City, or would you like to see an expansion into its own mini theme?
I want it to be its own thing because it seems like it's sticking with Lego City. They make more city trains, so to speak, like the electric passenger trains and all that, like the freight trains that would work in a city. Like, get it away from the city, and then you can make more. You know, you're not just. Yeah.
See, I saw this video. I don't remember whose video it was, but essentially it was just like a steam train theme where it was like, a bunch of steam trains. I think that would be really cool.
Do you want minifigures incorporated?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my own train did not have minifigures, but this is also pretty early in the Lego days. So, do you want this theme to be just called trains, or?
I feel like that would be the way, if Lego were to do this, which is a big if, that would be the way Lego would go.
And how do you plan on keeping people coming back to this theme? Because I feel like trains can become very stagnant, and we've seen that's the instant death of Lego themes.
Maybe an instant death.
Well, Harry Potter, let's be honest, it's been dying because it's been pretty stagnant. Remakes of the same stuff over and over again. You need new ideas constantly flowing into a Lego theme to keep it alive.
Well, there has been a lot of new ideas for Harry Potter, and I feel like Harry Potter's still a pretty big theme. It's one of the big ones. You got Star Wars, Harry Potter, Ninjago. Those are like the big ones.
But do you see it lasting another 5 years?
Maybe.
Not on the movies, but maybe that new show that's coming out that remakes it. So.
But will that be popular and they'll keep?
Absolutely not.
See, that's what I mean.
But I don't think that has anything to do with trains. I think that's Harry Potter as a whole, not the Hogwarts Express.
I mean, how could trains not get stagnant? You got a train.
Well, you got to think of. There's a bigger fan base of steam locomotives than like people think. Like if they go steam, there's a lot of people that buy miniature railways, like all the scales. And there's thousands of different models of trains. Like it's like just steam locomotives. There's thousands of different versions. There's austerity tank engines. There's like all the different wheel variations. There's all the different companies that made different versions of all these different ones. And like, I know people would be asking for something like that.
Do you think the young kids care enough about the small variation?
I don't think the kids would notice. I don't think they would care either.
I think that's wrong.
I think it should be more of like an adult theme, like 18 plus, because I feel like kids might just want to grab the newest train in stock, where adults would want, like you were saying, all these different types of trains.
Or maybe Lego still does Lego City trains to appease the kids, and they make it an adult plus or whatever, 18 plus adult line for like the big fans who will buy many of them probably.
I mean, you can see the best trains that have been coming out are like those big 18 plus type ones, like the Crocodile Locomotive was a good one, and then the Orient Express that's coming out.
Now that kind of sounds, you basically explain what Lego's currently doing. Making an 18 plus train and then having Lego City train.
But I feel like it should be a bit more like widespread, like more trains, because I feel like it's like every once in a while they make another 18 plus type train. But
so basically you just want an 18 plus train once a year.
But on the standard scale that they have the Lego City trains at, not the big like display pieces, like the size of like the city stuff.
So overall, the main fix to Lego's current problem is you want the 18 plus train to be minifigure scale.
Yeah, well, minifigure scale is a whole other can of worms, but
to be compatible with Lego City tracks.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds very easy, Lego. Why don't you guys think about that? I feel like it's a very easy solution.
And profitable.
This is kind of a bold claim, but I think it's more profitable than Star Wars.
I completely disagree. Star Wars is easily the most selling theme. I've seen way more people buy Lego Star Wars sets than a Lego train set any day.
I feel like a lot of their sets have been falling off, though, and there's only been a good few that have been, like, outstanding. In my opinion, it's unpredictable, because you don't know if they're going to be good, and you don't know if they're going to be bad. And I feel like if they start off strong with the steam locomotives, or whatever they go into, and then continue with that style, it'll be good all the way through.
I don't think it'll last as long as Star Wars. I think a train theme would last max 5 years.
Well, nothing can last as long as Star Wars.
Well, you were saying that trains would sell better than Star Wars in theory, then it would last more than 5 years.
Star Wars has already lasted like 30 years.
For a reason.
Right.
I think Star Wars, they could honestly they can release 5 sets every 6 months, essentially. As long as there's new minifigures, new builds, they're going to buy it.
So you mentioned previously minifigure scale. And I think it's actually very important to talk about, especially in the Lego train community, because there's a difference between the Lego City scale and the Hogwarts Express scale.
Here's the thing. I almost feel like the Hogwarts Express scale still isn't really the full scale that you would actually get in a real train. Like,
Right.
if you're trying to make a minifigure scale. Like, you gotta think about it. Most modern Lego City trains are smaller than Speed Champions cars, width-wise. Because Speed Champions cars are 8 studs wide.
If you're talking width, then I agree. If you're talking height, maybe not.
Well, I'm not talking about height, I'm talking about width. Because, you want your train to be wider than your cars.
Maybe. If you look at the van with the repair van in real life, it is kind of almost the same width as the train.
But I'm talking about normal cars.
Like 6 wide.
Even 6 wide, it's the same size as the same width as a train.
I'm thinking like you look at someone next to the wheel of a train, and then you put a minifigure next to the size. You put it next to a
There's a
Lego
way.
wheel.
There's like a way of making minifig scale things with that, like calculating it. If one stud is this long, then.
No, real quick. Tell me your guys' thoughts on the Hogwarts Express Collector's Edition.
It's been a while since I've
As
seen that.
train
I mean,
fans.
bold claim, I know, but I think it's really good, and I think it's probably better than the one that they made, the minifig scale one. Oh, not minifig scale, but the one with Hogsmeade that they just made.
Looking at it again, it's been a while since I've seen it, but it is smaller than I remember it being, which is good because you don't really want it to be too big. I was thinking it was a lot bigger, but you're definitely right. If you do want like absolutely 100% accuracy, then I mean you might want it a little bit bigger, but I think this is still pretty big.
Yeah.
And I think with these track pieces, isn't there? Oh, that's another topic. Is the bend gradient on the tracks? Like, don't these have wider angled like curved pieces?
Those pieces?
Yeah, aren't there like curved pieces?
They're blue curved pieces, and they're like old, and I don't think they'd work very well, but.
They didn't really make a track for that train. It's more of a display piece.
Right. Which I have heard that you can have it actually move on the track too. You just have to take off the display part underneath.
I mean, there might be a way of also just shortening the wheelbase slightly, because it's only one stud wider than, like, the wheelbase is only one stud wider than normal trains track and stuff. So I feel like there might be a possibility of being able to slightly shrink it just that one stud amount, and then be able to have it on normal track. But it won't be able to go over bends at all, probably.
Yeah, I was thinking that too while looking at it. It doesn't look like you could bend, like you could turn at all. Which, for what it is, makes sense because it's just supposed to be a display piece.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be accurate. Lego train tracks are not accurate, especially not with their curved tracks. The radius is way too tight.
But yeah, I think that's just my last gripe, I think, is the gradient. And that's it, really. I think that's all. With this talk,
Well, now the final thing with trains, I was wondering if you wanted to talk about your custom trains, Will, because I know you have a custom train line coming out. I wanted to give you a chance to talk about what you're trying to do with those.
So yeah, I made the first two a long time ago. Well, I say a long time ago. It was November of last year. But around April of 2022, I got into Bricklink Studio, which, for those who don't know, is a digital like Lego designer that you can like make sets with. And so I had experimented with it a little bit, making like the Theed Palace and then my own house, like a miniature version. Obviously not like my entire.
Whoa.
It'd be pretty expensive. But anyways, getting away from that. With Studio being linked with Bricklink, you can create a design and then buy it. And I did that for a spaceship that I made, I believe, right before or after I started my train line.
You got that one first, and then you got the ship.
Okay. So it's called the BCBR, or the Billions Custom Bricks Railway. And my first design, though, was a little bit flawed, thanks to Brick Bucas. He helped me fix it up after I bought the parts to build it. But the first engine was the M1 Flying Bandit, which is still kind of my personal favorite. but it's kind of getting outclassed a little bit now.
Mm-hmm.
So the BCBR has green, like a just a normal green with a dark red livery. That's kind of the style I'm trying to go for. I kind of broke it with my next engine, the T1 tank engine, which is not my favorite. It's my least favorite.
I think we can all agree that it's the worst in the lineup.
I'll show pictures on the YouTube on YouTube, but it's definitely not. Like, to an outsider who doesn't know, it'd be like, oh yeah, this looks great, you know. But this is the same size as the Flying Bandit, which scale wise is not good. And then more recently, I revamped the T1 tank engine, which is now the T2, which is my favorite for sure, absolutely. Like,
Mine too.
it just looks all around. Like, the scale is better to the Flying Bandit, which was my main reason for changing it up. And then Bucas made a tank engine as well. That's the third engine in the series, and then it's the T2, and
Well,
then
I mean, my train existed before all of them, but you know,
I brought it into the
you brought into the series after.
Yeah. And then the last train in the series is the BCBR H1 mixed traffic engine, which went through a phase where it was kind of ugly, I guess you could say. It was like the T1, but I won't get too into it.
It was kind of the exact same as the M1 Flying Bandit too.
Yeah, so I didn't want it to be too similar, so I changed it. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of my little train line. I'm definitely going to be adding more in Series 2, including a big express engine, maybe a 460.
Now, do you have any plans for these trains, like things you want to do with them, or are they just purely for fun and show off?
Well, I do want to at some point make my own custom sets with them included, which they might be kind of expensive, but it was expensive to buy the parts to make them in person. So
I mean, that's what you have to expect from custom sets for them to be super expensive, usually.
But yeah, my plan is to eventually find some way of motorizing them, create a giant table like a city, and then have them going around. And then maybe, because I started a Patreon, it's still kind of in the works, but maybe eventually having people buy them and then putting them into their own city.
Alright guys, to be honest, there's almost too much news to cover, so I'm gonna kind of just cover the important things since we took a week off, kind of 2 weeks of news built up, and we got the new set list for 2024, so I'm just gonna try to shorten it up, cover only the important things that we're excited about. Now, first up, we have the Marvel Minifigure series, and to save time, we'll pop up a picture of it.
Yeah.
And is there any standouts to you?
Moon Knight is my standout. I like Moon Knight. I wasn't expecting Goliath from Ant-Man. That was a surprise. I don't know if you guys know about him.
Right, he wasn't on the original list. He kind of got swapped with Kang, so kind of questionable in my opinion, but a swap nonetheless. Can't do anything now. Moving on, we got all the Star Wars sets. What they're going to be. We can get pictures of them. So first up, we have the Clone versus Droid Battle Pack. Now, if you've been listening to the podcast, you know we kind of talked about wanting this set. So we don't know what Legion's going to be. Maybe tell us how you feel about sets and then what Legion you want to be.
Well, I personally am very excited for the return of the Super Battle Droid. I think all of us are, because it's been a long time since we've gotten them. So I'm hyped. So the Legion I'm hoping for is just I don't want a Legion. I just want the shinies, the regular clones.
Okay.
I don't think there's a Legion I can see them doing. Maybe Commander Blaize, but I don't know.
I mean, I'm also pretty excited for it. I don't know what Legion, but let's just hope it's not 501st again.
Ugh. That would be awful. I'm kind of sick of 501st. We already got the 501st Battle Pack 2, and we didn't really have the podcast active, but I wasn't really big on that set. I know my other co-hosts were very big on that set, but I personally wasn't. I just really want something they haven't done yet. I'll be fine with anything as long as they haven't done it yet. So next up, we have the Skeleton cruise ship. This is going to be 140. We don't really know much about this because We haven't even gotten a trailer for the show, have we?
We haven't gotten many details on the movie at all, so only really like concept art.
Yeah, this one's very up in the air, but it seems cool. I bet it'll be exciting, get a bunch of new characters and stuff and a new ship.
I heard it's like the Goonies in Star Wars. Like that's kind of the premise.
Okay, so it'll probably be a pretty good series. I'm sure the set will do decently. And we kind of talked about this in the podcast too. MIDI scale is in full effect now. Goodbye helmet sets. It's going to be a Millennium Falcon MIDI scale set. And this one's coming out March 1st. So how do you guys feel about MIDI scale coming and a Millennium Falcon?
Well, I think we already got a good taste of it with the Super Star Destroyer. And I think if they continue on that route, then we're going to be all set. I'm going to buy every single one.
And this one's going to be $80.
So it's going to be serious.
Yeah. Hopefully it slots up nice next to the Super Star Destroyer and you can kind of display them together, I'm hoping.
I forgot about the Nebulon B frigate too. Is that mid-scale or is that bigger?
It's more like a probably miniature.
It's kind of a micro scale.
Yeah, micro.
I don't know. It's kind of up in the air because it wasn't really part of the line or anything. And continuing MIDI scale, we have the Tantive 4 first. So these two are going to kind of slot next to each other. How do you feel on this one?
Pretty good. I have the big set that retired recently, so it'll be nice to display it next to it. I think it'd be cool.
And this one was kind of out of left field. We have Grogu's Escape from the iconic Mandalorian Season 3 scene. So
how much is that one?
This one's going to be $30, and it's coming out May 1st.
I'm pretty hyped for that. I liked forgot the actor's name, but he was Jar Jar Binks. I like his Jedi character. It's pretty cool. There's going to be 501st, probably, so I think it's...
No, I thought there was going to be shock troopers.
The 501st show up in the fight, though, because they're attacking the temple.
Well, in the comments, people are asking for a Coruscant guard, please.
That'd be nice to get, though. It'd be inaccurate, but I think it'd be nice to get.
I thought that they were the ones that chased them.
I thought it was the 501st.
I don't know. Up in there. If you know, comment down in the comments. We'll probably look it up after the show and know. But so we're hoping for additional clones in this set, essentially, because only getting Grogu and the Jedi would be kind of disappointing. Now, this one is kind of controversial in my opinion. A buildable R2-D2 coming out March 1st, $100.
I mean, we've already gotten two. One from 2012 and then another one later on. I feel like, it's not really too desirable. It's going to be smaller, but...
I think it's good for the people that don't want to get the $200-some one. So, if it looks good, then I'd be fine with it.
Do you think it's too soon, though?
Yeah, I think it's too soon. I don't remember how long ago it was. Like last year, we got
It's been probably 4 years.
Since the most recent one.
My thing is, it's kind of too soon, and it's smaller. I kind of see this as a desperate. We don't know what else to make, but that's just me. And
I think that's fair.
Next up, we have the Bunta E Pod Race diorama. This one's pretty exciting. $70 coming out on May 1st. We're getting a prequel diorama. I don't think it's necessarily what everyone wants for a prequel diorama, but it's nonetheless happening.
I predicted it, and it happened. I don't know if it was during the podcast time, but I said, whether it was in the group chat or face-to-face, that they were going to do A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Then they were going to go Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, and then they were probably going to start doing the sequels next. I think that's the route they're doing, and that confirms it, because they just finished with Return of the Jedi, and now they're going right into Phantom Menace.
Now, would you find this disappointing if they just did Anakin and Sebulba?
No, I don't think it would, because we need a new Sebulba figure.
Now, this is an exciting buildable character, a buildable droideka. Now, I think this one's probably going to look pretty cool, so what do you guys think?
I think the buildable figures are paying off now. I think I don't know if it was a success or a minor success of the Spider-Man build figures and the Ant-Man, but I think with the mechs from Marvel coming into Star Wars sets, they're going to start doing the same thing with buildable sets, like buildable figures, like the creepy Chewbacca, like that kind of stuff. You know? And I think because it's droideka first and not like something like a Stormtrooper or Rey, that they're going to go more into prequel stuff.
All right, next up, it's only really an announcement. We don't know what it is, but a UCS set that's going to be $240 on May 1st. So the usual slot. It's kind of expected. We don't know what it is, though. So
I think wasn't it confirmed, I thought?
What it was?
I think it was confirmed to be a TIE Interceptor, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, yep. Sorry, I'm looking at past stuff. Yes, it is going to be a tie interceptor. Thank you. So, how do you guys feel on that?
I mean, I'm excited. I always liked the TIE Interceptor. It was my favorite TIE fighter. So
Bringing the playset scale, like Interceptor and the UCS, so close together is kind of nice because you rebuild the interest of the Interceptor and then you redo such an old UCS set. I think it'll do really well.
I think it'll pair nicely with the X-Wing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, next 4+ set is going to be the Young Jedi Adventures Crimson Firehawk. Now, this looks like a pretty cool ship, but they're only dedicating 136 pieces to it. So we'll see how it turns out. I think if they did a full set, it would actually be a really cool set. But I kind of understand they want to keep 4+. But yeah, how do you guys thoughts on this? Early thoughts? $50.
I'm really disappointed that it's not more. I would have bought it if it was more. Even with it being Young Jedi Adventures, it's a cool ship. And I love model ships like that they do for Star Wars. So I would have gotten it if it wasn't 4+.
and $50.
Yeah.
All right, the second diorama coming out March 1st is a Tantive 4 boarding diorama. I think this is a very asked for diorama, so it's good to see they're finally making it. How do you guys feel on this one?
We better get a side leg printed Darth Vader. This better be the best Darth Vader we've ever gotten.
Why do you say that?
Because if it's the same one, I don't know.
Do you think we'll get another Captain Antilles?
Yeah, I think we probably will. I don't think it'll be the same one from the Tantive. I kind of need a new one though, because my head for Captain Antilles got scratched somehow.
Oh, that's an expensive figure.
Yeah, so.
Well, maybe this will make them cheaper, because the only way I see it, they can only upgrade that figure. I don't see them really downgrading it much, because it doesn't have any ligaments or anything.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that one. And that's all we have for news. There's still a bit more news. I think we'll cover it next week, because that was a big chunk. So
let's just go over what themes have their set lists out.
okay, but we're not going to go over the set list, but I'll tell you what.
Like just which ones, yeah.
So we got Ninjago, Sonic going to be coming out, Jurassic, Speed Champion, Harry Potter, collectible minifigures, and a new Lego theme, Super Mario, Lego Dreams, Minecraft, Lego Spidey and His Amazing Friends, Icons, and Marvel has a couple sets out. Lego Disney seems to be a full new theme. It's not really new, but it seems they're really fully fleshing that out. Lego Creator. Oh, Lego Marvel is fully out, yep. And Lego City. And there is going to be Animal Crossing. So I think we'll probably cover that more next week. But there's a bunch of Lego Nintendo. So that might be at the whole conversation for next week. So that's all for this week. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks my two co-hosts for returning this episode.
Yes.
We will see you all in the next video.